For your projects, please prepare a 5-minute oral presentation on an occupation that you find interesting. Think about all the occupations around you and pick. Patricia, could you please repeat for the rest of the class the instructions I just gave you?
No, Miss Madriga, I can't.
Please pay attention. This is an important project. Let's just recap. You're going to choose an occupation you find interesting. You're going to prepare a 5-minute oral presentation. You only have 2 weeks to prepare that. Let's just remind ourselves of 3 things that all occupations require: a good education, appropriate training and experience, determination. Patricia, tell the rest of the class what you think determination means.
Well, if you're determined, you stick with something and keep working at it until you get it right or reach your goal.
Good for you.
There's a lot of teachers to interview. It'll be easy. I'm going to do my report about what it's like to be a teacher. What are you going to be, Patricia? What are you going to do your report on?
Next week, I'll be back with a report on Saltwater City, the exhibit on the history of the Chinese in Vancouver.
For News 9, I'm Ramona Marr.
That's it. I'm going to be her. I'm going to be a TV reporter just like her.
You?
Huh. I'm serious. I'm going to phone Ramona Marr up and,
You're crazy, Patricia. You don't have a good voice. You can't even stand in front of the class without turning as red as a tomato. Remember that time when you had to talk about the 4 food groups? You were so nervous you forgot all your lines.
But that was then.
You'll never be a TV reporter. And besides, where are you going to get your information? TV people are real busy, you know. Who's going to want to talk to you?
Oh no, just watch me. For now, this is Patricia Chow in the living room. In 2 weeks, I'll be reporting in room 12 about what it's like to be a TV reporter. Hello, Ms. Marr. My name is Patricia Chow and I...
Yes, Patricia, I've read your messages, all of them. But frankly, being a TV reporter is hard work, and I'm very busy. So I'm afraid it just won't work out. Perhaps I can help you another time. Okay. Bye-bye, Patricia.
I told you you'd never be a TV reporter.
Patricia, Ramona, look, I've changed my mind. If you really want to learn about TV broadcasting, then meet me tomorrow after school at the Chinese Cultural Center. Do you know where it is? Okay. Bye-bye. One of the first things a reporter looks for in covering a story like this, Patricia, is someone to interview, someone who knows more about the story than we do. The press release says that Paul Yee helped to organize the exhibit, so we'll try to get an interview with him. Keep your fingers crossed. Hi, Paul Yee?
Yeah?
Ramona Marr, News 9. I'm here to do a news item on Saltwater City. I was just wondering if you had time to go and do an interview with me and my crew.
I'd like to, but I've got a whole pile of stuff I've got to get through this morning.
It won't take very long.
Stuff's got to get done today.
Well, I guess there won't be much other time on a very tight schedule these days.
Well,
Thanks anyway.
Perhaps some other time.
Bye.
One other thing, Mr. Yee. I'd like to buy a T-shirt.
Okay.
How much will it be?
It's $6 for the kids and $9 for the adults t-shirt.
I'll take this one.
Okay.
One other thing. I'm Patricia Chow with Ramona.
You're part of the TV crew?
Well, sort of. I'm on a special school assignment, and I'm supposed to follow Miss Marr around and find out what it's like to be a TV reporter. My friend said I'd never pull it off, but I've gotten this far, so could you please let Miss Marr interview you?
I've already told her I'm really busy.
Please, it won't take long.
I've got a whole pile of things I've got to get through this morning. I'm sorry.
It's my only time to see her in action. Please?
Okay.
Great!
Behind me is a banner that reads Saltwater City. It's the name the Chinese gave to Vancouver when they first arrived here. Saltwater City is also the name of an exhibition at the Chinese Cultural Center, an exhibit that explores 100 years of the Chinese in Vancouver. By now, most of you may know that the Chinese came here for the gold rush, and that they were key in building the Canadian Pacific Railway throughout British Columbia in the 1880s. But the story doesn't end there.
So when the Chinese built the railroad, they had a really hard time.
What were the living conditions in the town?
Oh, pretty grim, pretty grim.
Here's one of the most famous pictures in Canadian history.
Yeah, notice there aren't any Chinese in it.
Why were there so many Chinese involved in the salmon canning industry?
There were lots of Chinese in salmon canning because the whites didn't want to work. Salmon canning is a real seasonal kind of industry. There's only 3 or 4 months of work in a given year. And then secondly, the wages were really low, so the canners would always pay the Chinese less.
And what is the story behind this huge machine?
This is the iron chink, and this was a machine built specifically to replace Chinese workers in the salmon canneries.
How many workers did it replace?
Well, a single gang would be about 30 workers.
It looks absolutely dangerous to me.
Well, it's not dangerous. It was just really fast. I mean, it would go along. It would butcher, clean 60 to 75 fish in a minute.
And how much does it weigh?
It weighs 2.5 tons. We had a heck of a time moving it in.
So the Chinese got involved in farming too?
Oh yeah, a lot of them had been farming in China, so when they got over here, it was a natural occupation to pick up.
And what sorts of things did they grow?
Oh, everything you could imagine. Potatoes, carrots, beans, peas, and they also did Chinese vegetables like bok choy and siu choy and gailan.
And what about the truck?
The truck? Well, this truck was used by Chinese farmers and peddlers. In those days, people didn't have refrigerators, so early in the morning, the farmers would load up the truck, and the peddlers would take the truck and go door to door and sell fresh vegetables.
Were there many trucks like this one?
Oh, there were hundreds, everywhere. In the streets and alleys, people can remember hearing the farmers going, fresh vegetables, fresh vegetables.
The early Chinese settlers faced hard times in the New World. Several men would be crowded into dingy rooms like this one. They lived here without their families because their wives and children waited in China. White Canadians didn't want the Chinese here. The Chinese were forced to pay a head tax to enter Canada. In 1907, thousands of whites rioted in the streets of Chinatown and broke every single window in every single store. How long was it, Paul, before the Chinese moved out of dingy rooms into offices like this?
Well, by 1900, the Chinese were buying lands and building their own buildings in Chinatown. Most people don't realize how fast the Chinese adapted to life here. And this is the law office of Juan Alexander Cumyao, who was the first Chinese to be born here.
This is a beautiful desk. What kind of work did he do?
Translation work. He was also the court interpreter because he spoke several dialects of Chinese, including Hakka, and he also spoke Chinook, which is a native Indian dialect.
What about these books?
The books, well, these are Cumyao's law books, so he would consult them before he went into court.
Eventually, the Chinese began to take time out for leisure. On Vancouver's Golden Jubilee, they got a chance to meet one of Hollywood's biggest stars.
On the good ship, lollipop.
Hey, there's Shirley Temple.
Yeah, she was the biggest child movie star of all. In 1936, she came up to help Chinatown celebrate Vancouver's 50th birthday.
But what is the significance of this?
Well, the 1930s marked some real big changes in the community, and when Shirley Temple came up, it was time when people said, hey, it's okay to go to Chinatown.
From times of celebration to the horrors of war, the Chinese headed off to World War II like everyone else, even though Canada still hadn't granted them the vote.
Of course, many Chinese Canadians fought in the Second World War.
My uncle has old war stuff like this.
Is that right? Where'd he serve, Patricia?
Somewhere in Asia, I think. I can't remember.
Wow, you should ask him. Maybe he served in Secret Force 136. That was a special unit of Chinese Canadians who were trained to do sabotage and spying work behind the Japanese lines. So the deck of life seemed stacked against Chinese Canadians. The new generation could speak English and go to university, but they couldn't find jobs. They paid taxes, but couldn't vote. But still, they tried. In the 1920s, Chinatown produced a championship soccer team that won trophy after trophy. In the 1930s, there was a tennis club. And in the 50s, Doug Jung became the first Chinese Canadian elected to Parliament. There's so much stuff on display. Was one of your aims to open up the community to show things that have never been seen before? Yeah, in a sense, yeah. For outsiders to Chinatown and for the new immigrants who are arriving today, we thought we'd throw open some windows to the past and say, hey, this is what things used to be like. It wasn't all easy. You know, people walk down the streets of Chinatown today and they think they know everything. But there's a lot they haven't seen or know about. Have they ever been to a Chinese school or the Chinese opera?
Paul, thanks very much for the tour. I think you've taught these two reporters a lot about the Chinese-Canadian experience.
My pleasure, Ramona.
Well, Patricia, I think it's your turn to tell us something about Saltwater City on camera.
Oh, no. If I went to school in the 1930s, this is the kind of desk I would sit in. These are desks from one of Vancouver's Chinese schools. where children used to spend 3 to 4 hours studying Chinese after regular school. You can see these desks at the Saltwater City exhibition, the show that takes you inside the Chinese community. And these opera costumes were used in performances that help keep the community entertained and united, even during the hardest of times. You shouldn't miss this show. It's about something we all share, the past. This is Patricia Chow
And Ramona Marr at the Chinese Cultural Center in Vancouver for News 9. Hi.
Hi, Ramona. I'm glad you're back. Look, I've been in the files and I found some footage to flesh out that Saltwater City piece.
Oh, good. Let's take a look. Charlie, this is the Hong Kong Children's Choir. What have they got to do with Saltwater City?
A lot of Vancouver Chinese were born in Hong Kong, weren't they?
Yes, but they come from everywhere else, too.
They're cute kids, and everyone likes cute kids who sing well.
I'm not denying the fact that they're cute kids and that they sing well.
They have nothing to do with Chinese in Vancouver.
Who's the kid?
Charlie, meet Patricia Chow. Patricia, meet my producer, Charlie.
Hi, Patricia.
Patricia is doing a school project. She's been following me around today. We went to see Saltwater City together.
When I went to see the show, I learned that Chinese have been in Vancouver for over 100 years. I'm Chinese and I didn't even know that.
Now let me show you some other footage I have.
What's this? Charlie, this is the Moon Festival.
What's the matter with that? It's alive, it's colorful, it's good TV.
But that's not the point. We're trying to inform people about the Chinese-Canadian community.
This is the Chinese community in Vancouver.
That's only one very small part of it. It's a standard ethnic celebration. We're trying to take people inside the community and show people what it's really like.
I guess you're not going to want this China footage either.
You're right. Look, let me show you what we do have. I've got some audio clips of some recent immigrants. They're just terrific. I don't have visual yet, but listen to the audio clips. This is Sandra Wilkie.
Who am I? I'm an overseas Chinese. After being a foreign student, now an immigrant, now a citizen, the whole experience, especially as from an immigrant, has made me more curious. Curious about Canada. Curious about Canadians. And on the other hand, also with that curiosity and the knowledge gained from that has also made me feel very obligated in the sense of wanting to contribute to this country.
And I've got another one. This one is Bill Ma.
Well, I was born in Calcutta and I arrived Canada in May 1964. So I would like to say a few things about our community. Most of them are very hardworking, very frugal. They love Canada as their own country.
Well, what do you think?
How are you going to handle it?
Well, Bill's a banker. We can take the camera around, follow him around the office. Sandra works in the community. We can follow her around at various meetings. Charlie, these are real people.
You shouldn't miss this show. It's about something we all share, the past. This is Patricia Chow
And Ramona Marr at the Chinese Cultural Center in Vancouver for News 9.
Patricia, that was a fine oral report. But how did you do it?
Well, I remembered what you said about determination.
Weren't you nervous?
Was I ever? You should see what they don't put on TV. Oh, wait a second.
Sorry. All right, what's so funny?
This is Patricia Chow and
Ramona Marr. Whoops, I'm taking the end.
Patricia, you did a fine job.
anyone can do it. All it takes is hard work.
Thank you.